Go ahead.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for coming out tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about SocialZombies Gone Wild, totally exposed and uncensored. Just a little disclaimer in case anyone here works for the Girls Gone Wild franchise. I am not associating myself with them at all. As you can see, the logo looks nothing like that franchise's logo. I've changed that. So just a disclaimer. I don't want to get in trouble legally. My name is Tom Eston. I'm a senior security consultant at SecureState. I am founder of a website called socialmediasecurity.com, which is an open source community exposing some of the risks out there with social media and some of the privacy issues. I'm the founder of a Facebook privacy and security guide that you can download, and it gives you kind of some best practices for setting your privacy settings within Facebook. It's free to download and share with people. I'm also a blogger, and I co-host 2 podcasts which still do exist, contrary to popular belief. Security Justice. We actually are recording tomorrow night, finally. Yeah, shocking. I know. And then the Social Media Security Podcast is another one that I co-host with a gentleman out in Canada, and you can find those on the internet. I am not Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson is not here, but the reason he's on the slide deck is because he was my co-presenter for this presentation that I gave. We gave this at Nauticon, and we also gave it at OWASP AppSec DC late last year. And I would say I want to credit Kevin with a lot of the good research that he's done with me on this. And I'll be speaking again with Kevin at Black Hat and DEF CON in a couple weeks. This time not on social networks, surprisingly, but we've been doing a lot of research the last, 4 or 5 months on web services. So keep an eye out for that. So what are location-based services? Well, they are what they say they are, right? They are services that provide your location to others. It's that simple. So this could be friends, this could be companies. These are people that want to know your location for whatever reason it is. These services, as you will find out in this presentation, they're built into our devices and software programs, and pretty much all the technology that we use has some type of location-based technology. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, we'll talk about the ways to abuse that, ways hackers can abuse this, and as well as companies can abuse this information that you may or may not know that you're giving this information to companies, and they can do interesting things with that data. Popularity of location-based services. This is kind of an older statistic just to show you from like 2008 to 2009 how different applications on mobile stores, so the iPhone App Store, Android markets, Palm and BlackBerry have really jumped on this bandwagon and implementing this technology into their applications. It's still very popular. We've seen kind of a drop-off in the last maybe year or so of people actually having a huge interest in the services themselves, mainly because a lot of times people have learned that this is a little bit creepy. I'm not comfortable giving out my location and where I'm at. Games like Foursquare and things like that you see in the social media world have kind of tapered off with the interest, mostly because of the privacy issues that are surrounding that.
How's Facebook doing with their release of that? Because I know they
Places?
have the issue between Facebook and Foursquare.
When Facebook Places first came out, they were saying that this is going to kill Foursquare and kill everything, and they're just going to be the winner. People have not adopted well to Facebook Places. You probably see that on your own feeds. Not a lot of people use it. I've only used it just to fake my location, but I don't have many friends that are using it, and that's kind of the sentiment I hear from a lot of people, so it hasn't really taken off. They predict, in the social media world especially, that market for location-based services on mobile phones, just mobile phones themselves, will be about $3 billion in 2013.
Do you know when you say worth, is that a revenue number or is that enterprise value? Sorry,
Good question. Good question. Probably enterprise worth total. I mean, yeah, it's very unlikely that. I mean, you could say Facebook is worth $3 billion right now.
It's bitcoins.
But yeah, bitcoins. There you go. Exactly. But yeah, take that number with a grain of salt, definitely. These are kind of, they put marketing spins on this, and this was done. This stat was from a big. I believe this was from Nielsen. So, take
sure
that.
It's legitimate, just worth it.
Right. Exactly. So, you know, people are predicting a lot of money in this stuff, and, you know, the applications are showing that. I've got some examples later on in the presentation just about Starbucks and some of the bigger companies now are trying to tie geolocation with using things called geofencing, which we'll talk more about, into mobile applications to generate revenue used for promotions and things like that. So a little background talking about the evolution of these location-based services. Really it all kind of started with the IP address, right? This was your original way of performing geolocation checks. So determined through your ISP lookups and whois records and things like that. Unfortunately, these have usually been prone to misleading results, not too accurate. They're getting a lot better. It's a very popular tactic with banners and adult advertising. So who's seen this? Yeah, no one raises their hand. Never seen that before, right? Adult singles looking for fun in your city. You know, a lot of people that aren't too tech savvy are like, wow, how did this girl know that I'm actually looking for them? This is amazing.
And didn't even get the pictures right.
That's right, exactly. That is all done through your IP address and lookup, and they're picking the closest city to your ISP. It's plain and simple. However, recently, this is early this year, researchers have found better ways to do this with an IP address. And typical results would usually get you within 200 kilometers. Now it's within a few hundred meters. So you may have seen kind of these over the last year or two. You'll probably see these services really just home in now exactly where you're at to the city, which is pretty amazing. This also creates new ways for advertisers and, of course, the government to track you, which opens up a whole host of privacy issues that we'll discuss later in the presentation. Mobile devices, so we all know, I mean, the GPS in the mobile device was truly revolutionary for the way that we use mobile devices these days. I mean, who can live, I mean, you can't live without Google Maps now on your phone. I mean, it's just essential to getting places. Everybody is using it. And we carry our phone everywhere with us. So it makes sense to have technology like GPS with us on at all times for various things that we use it for. Mashups for the win, that was kind of Kevin's statement there. There's more things on your phones now that tie to geolocation. So we have the GPS, we have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, RFID, 3G, Edge, CDMA, and GSM. This is all the latest wireless tech, and it can be all used for tracking. You know, who heard the iPhone issue a couple months ago with iOS storing your location data in the backup files? We're going to see issues like this continuously with all the different operating systems. Doesn't matter if it's Apple or Android, they all are going to have issues around how they store this data for whatever reason they're storing it for. So what could possibly go wrong, right? Well, of course, your location can be tracked and it can be manipulated as well by yourself if you want to. So where's the term geolocation come from? It comes from the different tech that we put into our mobile devices, into our web browsers, and it could also be manually inputted as well, as we'll show you. How do we do this, or how do we use this? Well, there's services that provide location services. So Google Location Services can be through cell tower or Wi-Fi based. There's a company called Skyhook, which drives around in a car and records access points and records those locations. And this Skyhook service is actually tied into your Apple iPhone, which is quite interesting. So if you don't have a 3G connection or a cell connection, it'll go out if you have your Wi-Fi on, and it will pull location information through Wi-Fi, through the Skyhook technology. It's pretty amazing. This has led to the emergence of geoservices. So this is kind of a newer term in the last couple of years. These are providers of geolocation data for Google and for other services. Skyhook is one of them. There's another company called Simple Geo. They provide APIs for application developers to look up location information on things. And also has led to the emergence of something called geofences. So geofences, this is kind of a scary thing that's been around for a couple of years. Your phone determines if you're in a certain location or not, if you have your GPS or location-based services up. So think of this as, remember seeing the movie Minority Report, where you're walking through the mall and you now have either targeted advertising or you're driving your car and an advertisement pops up because it senses that your GPS is on and you're in a location. Or if I go to a Starbucks, I can get a advertisement on my phone instantly because I walk into a certain Starbucks. That's what we mean by geofences. Simple Geo, their service can do this with 6 lines of code in an application and 30 lines to support background geo tracking in iOS 4.5. So it doesn't take a lot to interface with these services. So here is a quote from the founder of, he was the co-founder of SocialGeo, Joe Stump. He says, so you basically just say track user and we handle that in our API along with record history. Then I come back and say, show me the last 10 places the user was. Creepy? Sort of. Powerful and easy? Yes. This is the kind of thing that from a privacy standpoint you have to deal with is we're talking about a lot of information and location information from users, from you, that these third parties have. And if they don't have a very good, robust privacy policy, who knows what they're doing with your data and doing with this information and how they can tie that back to you. Or if somebody hacks into SocialGeo, for example, does that become an issue with stalking and other privacy things? So now geolocation is even in our browser now. So thanks to the W3C, it is now embedded into all the web browsers that we use, which is fantastic. So Firefox version 3.5 uses Google, Opera uses Skyhook, Safari uses Skyhook in your iPhone and your iPad, Chrome uses Google, of course, and then Internet Explorer 9 is now HTML5 based. Believe it or not, Microsoft was the last company to support geolocation in their browser. Big surprise. Geolocation, though, is not standardized yet. So the W3C right now is still going through the process of determining standards. If you want to see some fun conversations, follow the developers list, which is there. And there's all kinds of discussions, especially around privacy and how they implement things. So for example, that little arrow that shows when you're on your phone that your GPS is on, there are threads and threads and threads of discussion of it shouldn't be an arrow, it should point to the left, not to the right. And it gets really crazy, but interesting things happen on that list. So the big question here is, well, what happens with HTML5? Because HTML5 is kind of, the latest thing that developers are grabbing onto. How does geolocation interface with HTML5? Well, there is an API for that, and the code is extremely easy now with HTML5. That's it. That's the simple check right there to see if whatever you're programming something in HTML5 for supports geolocation or not. It's kind of an on and off switch. It's that easy. Other things that get interesting with HTML5 is the SQL database storage options, which is now available in Safari, Opera, and Chrome. Who's heard of the EverCookie? Yeah, a couple of you. EverCookie was created by Sammy Kamkar, who's the guy that created the massive MySpace worm back in the day. Took down MySpace for like a week. Well, he created some code that basically will look for different locations outside of your browser to store cookie history, and cookies. So that includes this HTML5 web data storage area that is outside of your browser. So that includes flash cookies, that includes Silverlight locations, things like that. These locations can all be used to store this location data without your knowledge. So going back to social networks, of course we've heard of Foursquare, Gowalla, all these fun games that are supposed to be fun. Heard of the Twitter, right? Twitter opt-in by default. Of course, some people don't even know that they have this enabled, but there are options to turn that off. Unfortunately, it is forgotten by many users that all of your tweets can have geolocation data tied to them. So whether you're using the browser, for example, if your browser supports geolocation, it's pulling your location from there. If you're using it on your phone, it's pulling it from your phone. Google Latitude, of course, we love Google. Who's on Google+? A couple of you guys? Yep. It's kind of taken off. So we all love adopting Google's new cool services. Google Docs was the same thing. Google Buzz kind of failed. It seems like Google Plus is kind of cool and kind of the new thing. Well, Google Latitude is Google's location sharing feature. Of course, all of this will get tied into Google Plus, I'm sure, sooner or later. So something to keep an eye on. But of course, this tracks your location history. The problem I always have with Google services, though, is how many people actually use the same password for all sites. So a typical thing that an attacker will do is they will get your password somehow and they'll instantly go to Google and they'll try that out. And of course, if you're using Google services for everything, including Google Latitude, they can now pull all your location data because they are you now. MySpace, hopefully no one still uses MySpace, but they do have a real-time stream as well that pulls location data. Please don't use MySpace anymore, it's horrible. Facebook Places, and we might talked a little bit about this earlier, 750 million users all sharing locations. Of course, I love this, but people just are not adopting to it. It's not as popular as people were predicting, but it's still out there, something to be aware of. Sticky Bits, this is something that kind of hasn't taken off too well, but ties location things to barcodes, so you can go and you can play a game with your friends and start scanning stuff and tying that to your location. Kind of stupid, but some people are doing it. There's actually a thing called Barcode Hero. Yeah, seriously. Lots of these different social media location games that you can get involved with. QR codes.
What's Barcode Hero?
Barcode Hero? Shopping with friends, made more fun.
I don't understand what that is at all. It's like
Guitar
a game
Hero,
shopping.
but yeah, with barcodes. Yeah, it's completely awful.
Social shopping.
Social shopping, yes.
Because the consumer is you.
Right. It's just like those services that tie your purchase history to a social network. So they tweet out when I bought so-and-so item at Amazon, and then your friends can comment.
Come and watch the
Right.
sexual toys you bought at Amazon.
Yeah. Putting what that is. QR codes. These are also being used for geolocation services. So when you check into a place, scan a code, you're redirected to a website. You've probably seen these all over airports. They're not too popular yet in the United States, overseas, and like Japan. QR codes are huge. You see these things everywhere. People just scan them with their mobile devices.
And just a marker. And
Yeah.
a simple modification can keep people in for hours.
Exactly.
Where's this one take you?
Well, yeah, this is a problem with QR codes, because if you scan this, I'm sorry, it doesn't take you to like Dave Kennedy's set implementation, but
One day, one cup.
it could.
It'd be perfect for that.
It could take you to something really devious. I'm sure Dave has some ideas, but this will actually take you to this will Rebecca roll you.
Oh.
So yeah, which is even more horrible than a Dave Kennedy exploit, in my opinion. Hopefully you've never seen that video. Friday,
Her second
tomorrow.
song is out.
Yeah, that.
Negative
She's
Dave.
got a
What
new
is it,
song
Tuesday?
out. So
Yeah, Tuesday.
yeah.
What's really bad is you see that and you're like, I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
really bad.
You're just sitting there.
It's so bad it gets stuck in your head.
On Twitter, and I actually clicked on it, and it was like the most horrible song ever.
Wait, she's not dead yet?
No. 12-year-olds driving a car. What could go wrong? Yeah. So the point with the QR codes is you don't have no idea where these can go, and I've always
Especially
wanted
have
to.
no idea if there's an exploit. It's like dropping USB keys all over the parking
It
lot.
is exactly, and people are going to get curious, and they're going to, instead of putting something into their machine, they're going to pick it up and they're scanning with their mobile device. And
That's also why the newer software, though, shows you the QR code before you go to it.
and it
Which
should.
means there are ways to look at it, just like any URL shortener worth
Yeah.
its salt.
Exactly.
Should be able to show you exactly where it's going to go before
Right.
it sends you there.
Yep. So how do we abuse this stuff, right? Well, Google and Skyhook and those services, they've been abused before. It gets a little more complex abusing these services, but there's things called geolocation denial service. You can randomly generate SSIDs to throw off things like Skyhook, fake SSID floods, hardware jamming. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. So examples, in 2008, some students in Zurich actually successfully were able to abuse Skyhook using a Skyhook denial service, using some AP impersonation and some jamming technology they were able to use with some USRPs and some cool stuff. So this definitely is possible. There are these GPS jammers. These are very illegal. Extremely illegal, but if you Google it, you can probably get one for about $50 shipped to your door. And the reason why these are illegal for obvious reasons, because safety, ambulances and life-saving equipment, things like that, all use GPS, police, and so there are definitely serious issues of jamming GPS signals.
And that would be something interesting to note as well, that even some GPSs now
Yeah.
are coming with advertisements, coupons, and the like, although
Right.
from what I can see, while they are location-based, they're not a two-way system.
Right.
They're broadcast only.
Yep. So interesting thing. So how about abusing the users? Because abusing the hardware and the technology is one thing, but the users is really where all the fun is at. So who's heard of Phone Losers of America? No, you have. A couple of you guys? Yeah. So in episode 27, they did something called Foursquare stalking. PLA is a podcast you can download. They are absolutely hilarious. Was that?
As opposed to the ones you can't.
Well, no, download them all, but of course. They are hilarious. They do a lot. They're known for a lot of pranks, a lot of social engineering type pranks on people. But what they did here was they looked up people on Foursquare, and then they would find out where they were at, and they would actually call that location. So this example here, this woman's on Facebook, and she's talking about, oh my God, I just got a phone call while I was in a restaurant, asking me that, hey, I know where you're at, I know your location. And if they could rob my house. So, seriously, I mean, people can find you now, look you up, look up a public profile, find your cell phone number, and then call you. Or they call the restaurant in this case, and the waiter comes over with the phone like, it's for you. Kind of strange. So, this is kind of location-based stalking, if you will. Who's heard of these sites? I Can Stalk You and Please Rob Me. These take tweets and pictures on TwitPic and things like that, and they change them and they expose the latitude and the longitude of where those locations are. And in the terms of Please Rob Me, I would say, please rob me, I'm not home right now. Kind of showing the issues with geolocation and sharing that data. I Can Stalk You was another one done by a couple guys that I know, and they would actually show that, hey, I'm currently nearby this location to kind of show you where they're at. It makes a nice fun stalking app. Creepy, this is something that just came out a couple months ago. This is another geolocation stalking tool. It works in Windows and Linux. It's free to download. It will basically go out if you type in, say, a Twitter ID or somebody's name. It'll go out to Twitter, Flickr, all the different photo services, and then pull this information in and then plots everything on a map for you. It's all done for you. So you don't have to write any crazy scripts or anything. It's all done. So now you can see here in the right screenshot, you can see everywhere where that person has been. If they've never turned off location services for Twitter, that could be extensive. I could see somebody's path, their patterns, everywhere they're going every day. It's pretty scary. Wi-Fi techniques. So of course there's your traditional Wi-Fi attacks. So there's your man-in-the-middle attacks that you can do to gather this data or to manipulate the data. Firesheep is a popular little Firefox plugin that hijacks social network accounts that aren't using HTTPS. And of course that's always fun at conferences and hotels, of course. You know better, right, not to use Wi-Fi at DEF CON. Okay, yeah, all right. Abuse the location, so we can actually abuse the location themselves. So traditional methods, of course, we know about proxies. We can, change our proxy to anonymous proxy or something to fake the location or fake the area that we're at with our IP address. People still do use Tor, even though it is extremely slow. They say they're working on it, but it is slow. Moxie Marlin spikes, Google sharing, who's heard of that? That's actually a pretty cool Firefox plugin that randomizes your Google searches. And anything that you send to Google, it just randomizes it. So on the other end, Google has no idea what you're searching for. It's interesting if you take that his technology and spin that with the geolocation, can you mix up location data and things like that, so businesses and things like that don't know where you're coming from. In Firefox, it's very easy to fake your location. If you just go to About Config and you type that in the URL bar, you can actually make your location anything you want. I wrote a quick script in PHP that just randomly changes that to lots of different locations, like I prefer Area 51 in Nevada. And here's me just testing it on Twitter. And I was actually at home, but now I'm in Area 51, which is kind of neat. And actually, if you look at my Twitter profile now, I'm still in Area 51 permanently. Make this easier for you instead of typing in things manually or writing scripts. There's a geolocator plugin that you can download and install in Firefox, and you can make your area or make your location anywhere you want to be at any time. Just drag and drop on the map. Fake location of mobile devices. Of course, you can do this on all three of the popular platforms. There are apps to do this for you. With Facebook Places, it's extremely simple. There's an app called Fake Location that you can download. and you install it on your phone, and then it just manipulates your location. Here's an example of what it looks like. I select the app that I want to use, so I want to use Fake with Places instead of being faked. And now I'm at lots of different locations and traveling all over the country in the speed of a jet. So in this example, I was in Las Vegas at one point, and then I was in Pennsylvania in about 30 minutes. Pretty cool. Mess with your friends. Abuse the games, so all those fun games like Foursquare, these are all things called gaming the system. So what you're actually accomplishing by doing this, I really don't know. If you really want to be mayor of some Starbucks and get a free latte, that's cool, and up to you if you really want to do that. But there's a ton of scripts and programs to do that. I mean, heck, there's even a Metasploit module written by Chris Gates that will actually do this for you as well. So lots of stuff out there to game these systems. So how about malicious Facebook applications? That's one of my favorite things. Well, Kevin Johnson designed an app called Zombie Fun. Basically pulls your location information without the user knowing, and it took through Skyhook API. Will actually pull the location, and then obviously the developer gets that location and stores it in their database. So this is kind of nice if you can get people to install an application. You can automatically get their data. Facebook has changed this recently, where they've added now basically a pop-up that says, you know, this app is requesting all this information, but as we know, users just click OK anyway, and they really don't care. So abusing the HTML5 feature set. Kevin and I worked on something for Beef, so the Browser Exploitation Framework. Who's heard of that? It's a fantastic end testing tool. It really shows you what you can do with cross-site scripting. A lot of people just say, oh, cross-site scripting, that's just a stupid little pop-up box. Well, you put Beef into the mix, and it gets a lot more malicious. So Beef can do things with a simple JavaScript hook. It can actually, you can run Metasploit payloads on people's machines. You can send exploits to their browser. You can have a keylogger installed. You can do all kinds of very devious things. So for Beef, we decided, let's build geolocation support into Beef. So this allows the attacker to track victims, and it also provides some scope testing for pen testers, which is kind of cool. So if I'm using a cross-site scripting attack, attacking, say, an executive, and the scope is that it can only be in their office, I can scope that using the geolocation technology built into this. Only Beef features, so it enhances upon the Beef framework. It's part of the HTML5 plugins, and then of course it determines the payload is supported. And that's kind of what it looks like. Screenshot actually ties into the Google API, and will show you exactly where that person is at once I've hooked them with Beef. Some caveats we've seen. Geolocation can be problematic, mostly because the browser support can be a little sketchy, especially with IE, but Kevin has been working on that. We've also gotten this working with the Ruby version of Beef, and this is obviously going to support all the browsers as well. IE is kind of still an issue, but that's kind of what it looks like in the Ruby version of Beef. Privacy and security issues. So obviously we have an issue here with old attacks amplified, so this inadvertent location sharing, as we've seen with those sites like I Can Stalk You, Please Rob Me. A lot of people just don't know that they have their GPS or geolocation enabled. So we haven't done a great job of teaching users about this new tech and how to properly use it.
In addition, Apple makes it interesting because you can only use location services if you allow them to always use location-based services.
You can turn that off now by the app, though.
But it doesn't allow you certain other services when you do it. Which
It depends, yeah, it depends. And that's Apple and their wonderful wisdom. So, of course, it leads to issues such as cyber stalking, physical security. We've seen some things in the news and some of the research we've done of, college girls being stalked through some of this abuse. Other things such as situations where you have an abusive ex-husband, for example, and they have a restraining order. It could get pretty serious. If someone is tweeting or someone is posting a location, it opens up a lot of dangerous possibilities. iPhone, right? Apple, we just talked about Apple. Well, you do allow your location to be shared with the applications that you use by default. And so who has read Apple's 159 plus page terms of service in detail? Probably not a lot of you.
Every word.
You read every word? Yep. Okay. No, you don't. But in that document, it says, by using any location-based services on your iPhone, you agree and consent to Apple's and its partners and licensees' transmission, collection, maintenance, processing, and use of your location data to provide such products and services. So you're giving this away if you like it or not. If you have an iPhone, you're going to be giving it away. Sorry. Forensic implications. So what does your phone or browser leave behind, right? So how many, when you're done with your phone, you want to sell it, you pop it up on eBay, put it on Craigslist. It's very easy to get that data back. We did a news story at Secure State with Maureen Kyle from Channel 3. She gave us her iPhone, her old iPhone. We warned her, we said, you may not want to give us your iPhone because we're going to find everything on your phone. Pictures, text messages, location data, all that stuff. And we were able to pull everything off because we did a whole forensic analysis on it. And of course, she didn't lock her she didn't put a passcode on her phone either. But
what about debanning the phone's memory?
Yeah, well, we could have done that too, but it's easier just
to clear it off.
Just to take the whole drive and image it, and then just run forensic tools on it.
I think he's asking if you're going to sell something on eBay.
Yeah, if you're going to sell
Oh
it,
yeah,
you deban it.
yes, you need to wipe your device. Yeah, and actually with an iPhone, it's very easy to do. They actually do have a secure wipe feature in iTunes.
But who uses it?
Right. That's the other question. Who uses it? Who even knows that it's there?
And how secure is it?
It wasn't that easy.
It's not no DoD wipe, but it's better than nothing. It's better than just
Anything's better than
saying
nothing.
erase phone.
You didn't pull anything.
Hmm?
Remember? We did the analysis. I did the wipe. I don't think you guys pulled anything.
Off of yours? No. Yep. So, something to think about.
The wipe is smarter than Tom. That's what we're saying.
Yes, it's smarter than me, that's right. So this leads
Got
to,
out, thought by now.
yeah, this leads to some new things called privacy enhancing technologies, which is called PETs. So this is kind of an emerging thing that we're seeing now. So these are technologies developed to either anonymize your location, allow you to access or delete or remove this data and permanently, the keyword being permanently, and of course the ability to turn off these location-based services, whether it be completely on your phone or on a per-app basis. We're seeing a lot more of these things starting to come out. So a lot of discussion on the WC3 development mailing list about this, and lots of arguments and discussions about how to do this properly and how to inform the user that these controls are now being put into their mobile devices. Google Dashboard. If you use Google for anything, I highly recommend you check out Google Dashboard. It gives you an idea of where all of your data is at in the Google world, the Google Cloud. So everything from your Gmail to Blogger to probably Google Plus now, everything else. This shows you what Google is doing with all your data. This has definitely improved over the years with Google. Google has been under scrutiny from not just governments, but advocacy groups and things like that on improving their privacy policies and how they handle your data. So it is getting better. But I highly recommend everybody check out Google Dashboard to see what Google is doing with all your data and where it's at. Where do you fall when it comes to your personal privacy and location data? This was a really good diagram off of broadstuff.com. Most people find themselves in that upper left quadrant where it's called I see you, you don't see me, so everybody's a lurker, right? We don't like to give away our information, but we love seeing everybody else's. That's kind of the quadrant everybody falls in. And then there's one on the right, we all see all of us, everybody sees everybody. We choose who sees us, so things where they're more selective. Facebook is a great example of that. I can choose to, say this group of friends, I only want them to know that I'm in this location. And of course, somebody's watching me is the least preferred, and that's where you feel that you are being stalked, and you probably don't want to be in that quadrant. So something to think about of where do you fall. Adoption by the business community. We are seeing a lot of this a little bit more, popular for promotions. So I mentioned about Starbucks using, become the mayor of this Starbucks location, get a free latte, or give us some type of information and we'll give you something free. That's really usually what we're seeing. But of course, how do you verify a check-in? How can a company actually verify that you are actually indeed in that location? So there are lots of fun ways, as we've seen, but it kind of leads to things like, two-factor check-ins. I mean, is there going to be, okay, great, I'm now in this location, but now am I going to have to scan a barcode or scan a QR code to actually
Which, of course,
prove?
are both easy to
Right.
fake.
Right, which again we know is easy to fake. But
Which makes it fun when you're going into
Right.
Starbucks and scanning in at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. So the danger with businesses is they can't rely on geolocation data as you are indeed truly in that place. But a lot of businesses just assume that that technology just can't be abused. No one's going to bother to abuse a geotag, and that's not necessarily true.
Here you can make a phone call to confirm somebody's there.
That's right. What can developers do? So ensure when you're building an application that you go with the full disclosure policy, how are you using that data in your privacy policies for the app. Implement privacy enhancing technologies if you can. And definitely get involved with the W3C and other developer groups. So, a lot, again, going back to the problem with developers in general of we're more focused on features and cool tech and cool things that we can do with our phone, but we always forget about the privacy and security issues with that technology. So what can you do? Decide if you want to share or not to share. Share with a select group. Create a list in Facebook. Only share with them if you do decide to use this technology. Think before you share a location. Think about the ramifications that that may have down the road. Just like using any social network, anything you post, consider that public information at all times, because that could come back and haunt you. Read your terms of service, even though, like Apple's is 159 pages, but
Do they have it in an ebook?
Yeah, you might be surprised what's in there. The good thing of organizations like the EFF, if you go to the EFF's website, they actually break down a lot of these privacy policies for you already, and they'll give you a nice analysis of what that really means and take out all the legal jargon for you. So I highly recommend that.
Didn't Obama make a law about that?
Not sure.
I thought there was a law.
Privacy policies?
Yeah,
They're-
about them being written in English now.
Not sure about that.
You're thinking of credit cards, Dave.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Credit card agreements.
Oh.
Yeah, credit card agreements.
What's
is
the
different.
difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. So more information on this stuff, socialmediasecurity.com, you can find out more stuff there. Kevin is still working on some of the beef patches. You can follow Kevin and myself on Twitter, friend Kevin on Facebook, he really likes that, I'm serious. Just don't click on anything that he sends you and you'll be fine. So any questions? All right. All right, with that, we'll take a...
Wait,
what?
let me do the book giveaway. real
Oh, yeah, let's do the book giveaway. Yeah.
I gotta get going, unfortunately, I can't stay the whole time.
So Dave Kennedy here just released a book.
Actually, is it released yet?
It actually, it got released today, I think, but no one's actually gotten it, so you actually have, no one's here. Anybody here order it, actually get it yet? Did you get it? Yeah, it should be coming here shortly. So this is gonna be a technical question. What is the instruction set in assembly that you need to do after you trigger an overflow and override EIP?
You want to jump ESP?
You got it?
Wait, where'd you learn that?
Offensive security on a chapter. Can I get you?
Where can you find the files?
Got a pen?
Dude,
So
That marker.
if you want to plug your book, Dave.
yeah, this is live right now.
Your book?
Yeah, open it.
Oh, hey, get this book out.
He's going to plug the
No, the
book where?
book's Metasploit Penetration Tester's Guide. It really
microphone.
tries to build you up.
You might want to get a picture of this there, Dave. It's a,
Go in front of the camera.
Yeah, but do it in front of the camera, otherwise everyone gets seen,
Hi, I'm Dave Kennedy.
Your
What
book's
about
been kissed by
like
Dave.
phone number stuff like that?
He'll hug it next.
Can you hug the book for us?
Can you hug the book?
Go up there and get a hug.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Aww.
Not the author.
Here, I have a knife.
I got it. It's just picking at it. So the book is Metasploit the Penetration Tester's Guide through No Starts Press. And in fact, if you actually go to nostarts.com/metasploit.htm, at 12 o'clock tonight it ends, there's a promo code called Red Team, which will give you 40% off of the book. And it'll also allow you to download the DRM-free PDF version of the book as well. So you can get the PDF instantly.
With
and
or
then,
without buying it?
You have to buy it. And then the book gets sent to you eventually. But basically, it's the foreword was done by H.D. Moore, the author of Metasploit. And some of the comments he made was this is the most definitive guide to the Metasploit framework ever. So some great compliments out of that. But really what it tries to do is establish a methodology around Metasploit, around penetration testing, and then start injecting Metasploit into how you can leverage it for penetration testing. So it builds you up very slow, and it starts off with the very basics, and then by the end of the chapters, you're doing a simulated penetration test. You're writing your own Metasploit modules and your own exploits, so it's pretty cool. So
What was the website again?
it's nostarch.com /metasploit.htm. And then the promo code is REDTEAM, all caps. And then I'll get you 40% off, but it ends tonight. So check it out. Thanks.
All right, you want to take a 10-minute break?
Yeah.
10-minute break.
And Tyler will talk about recon.